92.1 WROU, Dayton's R&B leader. And of course, we're your station for the holiday help out. And I could not have done it by myself. We had a host of sponsors that we will thank, but I had the best partners in crime to be able to do it with me. And number one on the list, what is it? Number 3 or number 4 in your jersey, in your bulletin, but number 1 in our hearts. It is Kev Nash from Hot102.9. And of
What's
course,
going
the
on,
host
babe?
with the most. How good to see you, kid. And good to see this one, Justin Kinner from 1410 ESPN. And I wanted us all to get together and hang out for a second and give us an opportunity to really reflect on Holiday Help Out 2020, what it did, and how it took on a life of its own this year. And for me to publicly say thank you, definitely I'll run down the list, but to the both of you, because you came to the table and you didn't have to. And you came in a very scary time with COVID. You came to the firehouse, you did your shows from the firehouse, and that made the difference because your listeners showed up looking for you even after you were already done and saying that they had heard it on your station. So Justin, for you jumped in with 1410 ESPN, and hey, we want to say thank you. What has this meant for you to be a part of this?
I look forward to this every year, being a part of it. And just, when I started at the station, 5-6 years ago, just following your lead and seeing how you help give back to the community. And one of I shouldn't say favorite, but one of the most memorable times here was the morning after the tornadoes. I mean, you do such a great job with the holiday help out, but the relationship with Firehouse 72 is, I really respect the job that you and that they provide. The morning after the Memorial Day tornadoes, just how they opened up their doors and you just hit the ground running, and I followed your lead, and Kev's there, and friends from the station are there. It was a really cool experience just to see how what we have here at our station mixed with what they have there. When we combine everything, just what we're able to do for the community. I'm all for that, and it's really cool seeing how when everyone comes together, the great things that we can do. So
and it's crazy. It is crazy because I'm usually there by myself at first, and then when I see you guys show up, it just gives me chills because it's like my people are here. And Kevin, we call you Mr. Loose Ends, and I don't think people really understand what it is that you do for the holiday help out to work every year. In years past, you were the setup, the breakdown, along with your promotions team. You made sure the broadcast happened. You made sure every break we hit it. You made sure every guest was in my chair talking to me, but you also did your own show from there. You were instrumental in the behind the scenes. I make it look easy, but you are the reason, and it all hits the air the way it does. It's because of you. And this year it was harder on you than any year before because you didn't have a team. It was all you.
Just like every other business across the country, everybody's dealing with COVID in a different situation. This year, my promotions team, there isn't one. Thanks to the Rona. It really is skimmed back to myself, Hooper, and Justin, really to handle things in house here at the station. Be it updating the website, be it setting up things, and that communication that you and I have. And actually, the communication that you and I have is more than just, calling each other on a meeting. It's almost, I won't say this is a turnkey situation, but I know that we're going to do it. So I need to be ready for when you're ready to push the button to say, let's go. So when you say we're go, I hit go live because I already have stuff in place to say, I'm just waiting on your word to say we're 100% go.
Wow.
And once we're 100% go, I hit go live with everything, be it promos on the air, be it website stuff. Just trying to be ahead of the game. Then that's one of the things that everybody in this building has to do now, because you never know when someone may come down with COVID, or we still have to take vacation days and everything like that. So we always have to work a little bit ahead of a time. In a normal situation, I was always like 2 weeks at a time, but now the world that we're living in now, I have to be a month ahead of time to make sure everything falls into place the way it's supposed to.
And it's crazy because traditionally you jog my memory about things when I see you walk past my office door. But because we're all in remote locations, I don't have the benefit of that anymore. And I could hear your footsteps as you walk past. And I'm like, Kevin. And you're like, how does she know my footsteps? Same with Justin. When you guys walk past, I know who that is. And I miss that kind of connection that we have. We are a family, honestly, and we do things differently, I think, than people who work in a quote unquote regular business. We have to, because we're so close and we have so much to do, and only us to get it done. This year, you guys stepped up in a way that was, in a way that we weren't sure how this was going to really kind of, happen, how it was going to come together. With COVID, I had worked with the mayor and I had worked with the chief of the firehouse, Chief Hackey, to make sure that we were COVID compliant. And he brought just the most amazing smile to my face when he said, honestly, your organization and your event have been COVID compliant for the last 4 years because it's been touchless. People drive through the firehouse. They don't get out. We take the donations out of their vehicles and they keep it moving. He was like, so only thing differently we had to do this year, you practically had to put me outside so that when the donations came by, I could see people and still wave and say thank you and hear them yell their name to me so that I could include them in my thank yous. But to the both of you, to Alpha Media for giving me the platform to not only utilize 92.1, but Hot 102.9 as well as ESPN to help families grow stronger through this deadly time. Is scary right now. And we were able to help families in a way that I didn't know if we were going to be able to show up for them the way we had in years past. So I'm going to run a quick thank you that I have to do. If you guys have thank yous that you want to include from your station, please do. Blake Maislin, primary sponsor, who made sure I had everything I needed to make sure every one of those bags had everything they needed, including Kroger gift cards to go along with all the food and the birds that we gave them. The Steve Harvey Morning Show, they came through with the turkey give and significantly impacted how many families we were able to help. Mayor Mary McDonald, the city of Trotwood, every single individual that she sent my way in order to help and support me, they did. Firehouse number 72, Chief Hackey and his entire fire team, his wife who stayed with me, she didn't have to do that. She could have gone on home, but she did. and then we had new sponsors this year that come from a really interesting place. The club industry, Napoleon's Reloaded, and Brandon and his team, RSVP Ultra Lounge, Mikey Payne and Dave Martin, their teams, Estridge Market, that's GP and his group and his team, they came together in a huge way for us. KNC Enterprises and Spared because of his blood ministries, that's Pastor Fred and his group. Abundant Life Christ-Centered Ministries, that is Bishop Joel Lofton and his members. Man, when I say they came through, they came through. And then finally, Nicole Atkins with God's Grace Food Pantry and Mobile Pantry, and now the free store that's going to be opening on North Dixie and serving people the first week of December. So with those thank yous, if you guys have thank yous you want to do, jump in and definitely.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on the nightclubs. Obviously Napoleon's Reloaded, RSVP Ultra Lounge, and GP. He owns Club Aces, but now he also owns Estridge Market. I worked with all those gentlemen in the past on a work capacity. Bring people out to the club, have a good time, party. But it says something about all those businesses and young men, to give back. You know what I'm saying? Because for lack of a better word, they're asking patrons to come to their business and spend money and have a good time and everything like that. But in turn, in a time where everybody's in need, they give back. And that's a big deal. And that's super important. And especially, GP, him now owning a grocery store in a city and a part of town that's basically a food desert. is huge, and him providing fresh food. And he's actually going to be having Thanksgiving meals this Thursday from 3 to 5 at Esther's Market. So
and it's
if you're in need of
drive-through.
food, drive-through meals for Thanksgiving at Esther Market with GP from 3 to 5, man. So I got to salute all the club owners out there that helped out, and obviously all the listeners. Obviously, without the listeners providing, we wouldn't have been able to do this. So salute to all the listeners as well.
For me, definitely the listeners, to piggyback off what Kev just said there at the end. Us being a sports station, thinking about, sometimes I live in a sports only world, and I'm like, oh, well, that doesn't make sense for sports. But when doing a local show, it doesn't matter if it's sports, it doesn't matter if it's music or what it is. It's all local. It's all about giving back and being, trying to be able to provide a platform that's going to allow others to help those that live in our community. Same listeners that listen to us have needs, struggles that they're going through, that sure, they tune into us to maybe help forget about some of those things, but having the opportunity to be their release, but at the same time be a voice or provide an outlet like we did with the holiday, help out to give them something to go maybe alleviate some of those problems, I think is cool. That saying has been very popular this year, bigger than sports. And whether it's race relations, whether it's, of course, COVID-19, whether it's everything else that's going on in the world right now, we keep running bigger than sports. Well, for me, it was cool because I try to make our show as open to our listeners as possible. I always have our chat bar open on Facebook, and anytime someone messages in, mean or nice, and a lot of listeners that like to just understand my opinion on things. It was cool to get some messages over the weekend saying, I can't stand you, but I appreciate the work. They said that they were, in line to drop off some items. So people even sent in pictures of them being 4 or 5 cars behind. So I thought that was cool. I always look at the names that pop up. I'm like, oh, what are they going to tell me now? What did the Browns do? What did the Buckeye? No, it was just to say, hey, they can't stand me, but they respect the job we're doing. And I thought I
love it.
To get them to drop some stuff off. So it's bigger than sports. It's bigger than things in life, bigger than sports. And it's cool seeing the community come together.
Well, I can't thank our listeners enough, because this doesn't happen without them. They had to hear about it from us, and they had to show up for us, and they have for the 5th year in a row. And now these are the numbers that I want people to remember. And I need to hurry and put like a little banner together, because I didn't ahead of time, but I'm going to create one really quick. And I need people to remember this number. And when we talk about numbers where food is concerned, we always think how many families, because we're going to get to that number of families. And we also have to think about what is going to go to the food pantry when it's all over and done, so that people can have a meal after the holiday is over. And so I want to scroll this across the bottom, because this is absolutely crazy. And, I love it. I love what we were able to do. 6,377 pounds of food and 160. I think I put too many families, but 160. Yeah, I did. We put 160 families. We gave them food. And more importantly about that 160, our normal number is about 110 families that get a meal, a holiday meal. And this year, we were able to reach out to Premier Health through Mayor Mary McDonald and reach out to their COO and their CEO and say, we want to adopt families this holiday of our frontline healthcare workers. They said, absolutely, we need it. They need to know that people love them, that people are thinking about them. And that's exactly what we did. We were able to adopt 50 families that are healthcare workers for the holiday. And at first it was, okay, we're going to give them a turkey. And then my heart said, you can't just give somebody a turkey. We got to do the whole deal for them. We got to do the whole deal for them. And we were able to do just that. And nice. I'm excited, because that is the big numbers that, it just is crazy to me. In COVID, last year, we only did 3,000 pounds of food all 3 days.
Right.
And that wasn't in a pandemic. And with the pandemic this year, 6,377 pounds of food was raised, 160 families we were able to take care of. In addition, in that 160 is the 50 frontline healthcare workers at Premier Health.
Nice.
And if we haven't done it bigger and better this year, I don't know what bigger and better looks like. And we owe a huge thank you and a huge debt of gratitude to our listeners, our sponsors, and everybody who came through to be a part of it. So with that, I say thank you. Holiday Help Out 2020 is a wrap. And I'm so glad to have the both of you on my team, knowing I can count on you. And Keith Byers, heaven knows, Keith Byers, he came through. Woo! You have no idea. With that salmon and julienne rice and asparagus, and he blessed my soul with that. And to him, and he uses his celebrity, he doesn't think he is, and he uses it in such a way that was able to bless us as well too. And a huge thank you to him. So to the both of you, I hope to see you again soon. I miss you guys like crazy. I really do. And I know Kevin's glad he doesn't have to walk past my office, because I'm like, hey, come here. And then you hear him run.
And you and your bright ideas.
What do you think if we... Exactly. Kevin's like, you're making work for me. You're making work. But it always goes off without a hitch. And I appreciate the both of you. So Holiday Help Out 2020, we did our best work and it was blessed, no doubt. Thank you to both of you. And thank you to all of our viewers and our listeners for doing your best to support us. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.